Good morning everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Prabhathalovesmovies. Today I'll be talking about some of the recent Malayalam films that I've liked so far this year. The films that I've chosen cover different genres. For example, Vineet's Hrudayam talks about a coming of age tale of a boy called Arun, Pranav Mohanlal. Coming of age stories come with their own set of cliches and Hrudayam is no exception to that rule. However, what makes the difference though is the treatment of the director. The director gives a realistic presentation of a Malayali's campus life in Chennai. As an audience, you connect with the journey of Arun in trying to create his own path. The intense romance between Pranav Mohanlal and Darshana also keeps you involved. Sure, there are script conveniences and also the transformation could have been etched better given that the film is 172 minutes long. However, Hrudayam still strikes a chord. Now I'll talk about some of my other favorites in detail, starting with Puzu and Malayakunju. The striking similarity between Puzu and Malayakunju is that the protagonists are casteist bigots. Kudos to both Mamooty and also Fahadh Fasil for not just taking up these roles but also embracing the dark shades without any inhibitions. I'll first talk about the film Puzu directed by Ratina. The best thing about Puzu is the way in which the character of Mamooty has been written. There is no unnecessary redemption, that is, trust on the character for the sake of it. Even the climax also goes completely well with the character arc. We see Mamooty scooting through the eyes of his son Kichu. Kichu is very much afraid of his father because of the overbearing personality. And not surprisingly, there is a lot of inner resentment that the son holds. Kuttan also has a delusion that someone is trying to kill him. There are some funny scenes where Kuttan keeps on visiting a so-called suspect. These scenes temporarily relieve the otherwise tension-ridden drama. There are also some instances where we empathize with Kuttan. These instances come when Kuttan tries to connect with his son after Kichu openly rebels against his father. Through the character of Kuttan, Ratina talks about an upper caste man who is still struggling to come to terms with the evolved society. Malayakunju, written by Mahesh Narayan, looks at caste through the lens of a survival drama. Anil Kumar, played by Fahadh Fasil, is a short-tempered electrician who is always on the cusp of anger. The reason for his anger are the consequences that led to the suicide of his father. He is so short-tempered that he even cannot bear the cry of an infant child who lives in his neighborhood. However, things change when a landslide occurs, and this landslide changes the life of Anil Kumar upside down. Malayakunju is a film that keeps you hooked. The scenes of Fahadh Fasil wading through the flood is something that has been brilliantly done. The irony of the situation is that this cry that Anil Kumar hates is now become the source of strength for him. His desperation to save the crying child gives him strength even when things seem out of control. Fahadh Fasil embodied his character with the usual panache that we have come to expect of him. Number 3, Bhutakalam. Rahul Sadasivan's Bhutakalam is a horror thriller that examines the concepts of mental health and flawed education system, among others. The film largely revolves around a mother and son living in urban Kerala. They are haunted by a troubled past that is continuing up to the present time as well. Asha, played by Revathi, is a school teacher who is suffering from clinical depression. Vinnu, played by Shane, on the other hand, is a frustrated graduate. There is a lot of resentment and bitterness that has been growing in all these years. The film has also got its share of the classic horror things that we have come to expect with this genre, like the creaking doors and also water coming from the bathroom. However, Rahul Sadasivan uses all these elements to tell an important story. He is also aided by the terrific cast. Revathi rightly won her first State Kerala Award for her portrayal, she effortlessly conveys the anguish of a woman who has led a compromised life. Now, these compromises are affecting her son as well. In a brilliant scene, she implores her son to not repeat the mistakes that she has done. The arguments between the mother and son feel very real. Number 4, Pada. Based on a real life incident, Pada, directed by Kamal K.M., is a gripping hostage drama. The real life incident had taken place in 1996, but the story is still very relevant. Four men headed by Dilesh Pothan, Jojo George, etc., hold a collector hostage for over 10 hours. They want the government to remove a bill which is detrimental to the Adivasi rights. In order to achieve this, they lock the collector in his room with some ammunition and start negotiating with the state secretary played by Prakash Raj. The best thing about Pada is the drama that takes place between the collector and these four men. Through the character of the collector, Kamal K.M. talks about how it is difficult for those even in the government to stand up for the Adivasis. There is a telling scene where the collector talks about trying to help in the land program of a tribal, but the four are quick to point out that he didn't complete the program. At 125 minutes, Pada is a crisply narrated tale. The performances of all the actors were in complete sync with the story. Number 5 and the last is Roshan Andrews' Salute. Stories about the inner workings of police department aren't completely new, but what sets apart Salute is its tight script and Dulqer Salman's acting. Dulqer Salman plays a sub-inspector called Arvind. He comes from a family of police officers. He is in lot of awe towards the elder brother Ajit, played by Manoj. However, this awe takes a beating when an innocent auto driver Murali is falsely implicated in a murder case. The political pressure combined with the upcoming elections lead Murali into more trouble. At the starting of the film, we are shown that Dulqer's Arvind is on a leave. Dulqer is someone who wants to save the auto driver, but Manoj on the other hand is someone who wants to convict him. There is a lot of cat and mouse game that keeps going on between the two brothers, and this leads to many engaging moments. Arvind is not someone who is portrayed as your typical superhero cop. He is as vulnerable as anyone. Apart from Dulqer Salman, Manoj also delivered a good performance as the elder brother. The couple of hitches in Salute include the final stretch and also the casting of Diana Penty as the love interest of Dulqer. This is all about the recent Malayalam films that I have liked so far this year.